I've been a nurse, and now I'm a gardener. And I'll tell you something. Those two jobs are not as different as they sound. Every spring, people across the country spend their weekends pulling plants, bagging them, spraying them, getting rid of them. And I understand the impulse. A tidy lawn is satisfying, but here's what I couldn't stop thinking about once I started paying proper attention. Some of the things we call weeds have been used by people for their health for longer than medicine has had a name. Longer. And the reason they kept getting used for hundreds of years, across completely different cultures, on opposite sides of the world, is that they actually work. We're going through 19 of them today, plants that are probably growing within 20 feet of wherever you're sitting right now. Some you'll recognize immediately, some you've been pulling for years without knowing what you had. Wait until we get to number 8. It has more of a certain omega-3 fatty acid than most of the fish on your plate. It grows like a weed, because it is one. Now, I'll say this once, and I mean it. Nothing here replaces your doctor. I'm a retired nurse, not a prescriber. What I'm sharing is what the research says, and what 30 years of watching people get well taught me to notice. Take notes if you like, or just watch. Either way, by the end of this, you'll never look at your lawn the same way again. Let's start with the one that's probably in your garden right now, and that almost everyone gets wrong. Dandelion. The one everyone knows. The one nobody respects. And that is a shame, because this plant has been quietly working for human health in ways most of us were never taught. Here's what nobody tells you about the root. It contains something called inulin, a type of fiber your body cannot actually digest. And that's precisely the point, that inulin travels all the way down to your large intestine undigested. That's where the beneficial bacteria are waiting for it. Think of it like sending a packed lunch down to the workforce living in your gut. Those bacteria ferment the inulin and produce something called butyrate. Butyrate is what feeds the cells lining your gut wall. When those cells are well nourished, the gut wall stays sealed properly. It doesn't let things pass through that have no business getting through. That tightness reduces the background inflammation that runs through the whole body. Quietly, over time. The leaves do something different. They carry compounds, luteolin and chicory acid, that help turn down the volume on the chemical signals your body uses to start an inflammatory response. Two separate jobs. Same plant. The obvious move with dandelion is a tea. Fine. But the better move, the one that actually gets you the most inulin, is the root coffee. And yes, I know how that sounds. Dig the roots in autumn. That's when the inulin concentration is at its highest. The plant is packing energy away for winter. Wash them. Chop them roughly. Roast in the oven at 150 degrees Celsius for 40 to 60 minutes until they're dark brown and your kitchen smells like something between coffee and burnt toffee. Then grind them and steep like ground coffee. No milk. Milk proteins can wrap around the beneficial compounds and reduce how much your body actually absorbs. A little raw honey is perfectly fine. What you end up with is a hot drink with no caffeine that's genuinely feeding your gut bacteria. That bitterness you'll notice, don't try to mask it. That is the medicine. Chicory is the one with the brilliant blue flowers along roadsides and field edges. You've driven past it hundreds of times. Cut the stem, and it bleeds a white, milky sap. That's your identification marker right there. Like dandelion, the root is full of inulin. Same gut-feeding effect. But chicory has something extra, a group of compounds in the root called sesquiterpene lactones, including one named lactucin. Now, lactucin is interesting because it appears to interact with the calming receptors in the brain, the same ones that some mild sedative medications also target. The research is early, but this explains something I always wondered about. The traditional use of chicory root as an evening drink, going back centuries, was never just tradition. People noticed it helped them wind down. That's a compound with a real target in the body. What you've got then is a plant where the root is feeding your gut during the day and maybe helping settle your nervous system in the evening. The connection between gut health and brain health is real. Chicory seems to sit right at that junction. Roast the chicory root the same way as dandelion. Thin slices, 160 degrees, until they smell rich and toasty. Then I blend the two together in roughly equal parts. Add a pinch of cinnamon and steep strong. I call it my neuro-gut tonic. That probably sounds more impressive than it is. It's a warm drink after dinner that helps everything settle. The gut, the mind, the whole evening. Something I look forward to. The blue flowers. Pick them fresh and scatter straight into a salad. Don't cook them. Heat destroys some of the more delicate compounds. Fresh is better, always. You know burdock. Those sticky burrs that attach themselves to your socks and your dog's fur every autumn. The story goes that Velcro was invented by an engineer who studied burdock burrs under a microscope, and I believe it, because the hooks are extraordinary up close. But the plant is more interesting than its hooks. The root, which can go nearly a meter into the ground, carries the same gut-feeding inulin as dandelion and chicory. But it adds something else, a group of phenolic compounds called caffeoquinic acids, which are the same family that gives coffee some of its health properties. And then there are lignans. Lignans support the liver's waste-clearing enzymes. In clinical terms, we'd say they support phase 2 detoxification. In plain terms, the liver is always working in the background, tagging and clearing things from the blood that don't belong there. Lignans help stock the enzyme supply for that work. It's not a cleanse. I dislike that word intensely. It's mostly marketing. It's something more boring and more real, supporting a process that's happening whether we acknowledge it or not. I had a patient once who swore by burdock root tea for her digestion. I smiled politely at the time. Now I think she may have been onto something. Slice the root 2 to 3 millimeters thin. A mandolin makes this easy, or a sharp knife, and patience. Roast at 160 to 170 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes until they're crisp. While they're still hot from the oven, dust with nutritional yeast and a pinch of turmeric. The yeast adds B vitamins that support those same liver pathways. The turmeric brings its own natural fire-reducing compounds. What you end up with is something that looks like crisps, has no business being as useful as it is, and costs almost nothing if you dig the root yourself. My neighbor tried them and asked what brand they were. I told her I dug them from the end of her garden. Stinging nettle, the plant that has humbled every bare-legged gardener who's ever walked too close to the fence. The sting is real. Formic acid from hollow hairs that snap off and inject on contact. It hurts. And the irony is this. The plant that causes localized inflammation is one of the best we have for calming down the smoldering, systemic, long-term kind. In nursing, we used anti-inflammatory drugs, prescription strength ones, to bring down the internal fire in patients with chronic conditions. Nettle appears to work on some of the same switches. The flavonoids in it, rutin and quercetin, quiet down two key parts of the inflammation alarm system. One is the switch that triggers inflammatory chemicals. The other is the enzyme that drives the chain of events producing pain and swelling signals in tissues. Here's the distinction that matters. There are two kinds of inflammation. The acute kind, when you cut yourself, when you get an infection, you need that. Your body is doing its job. Nettle's activity appears to be selective. It targets the chronic low-grade smolder, the background fire. That's a meaningful difference, and it's why I take this plant seriously. The sting is gone after 60 seconds in boiling water. That's all it takes. Blanch the young tops, the top 4 to 6 inches, in a large pot for 1 minute. They go brilliant green. Strain and cool them. Then blend with hemp seeds and a handful of blueberries. Hemp seeds bring the omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids in a useful balance. Blueberries bring anthocyanins, which are working on the same inflammation system from a completely different angle. What you end up with is one of the densest anti-inflammatory drinks you can make from things that cost almost nothing. The nettle is free. The hemp seeds cost very little. My niece have opinions about this recipe, and they are positive opinions. Yarrow is the flat-topped white flower of meadows and roadsides and every unsprayed lawn. Crush a leaf between your fingers. There's a sharp smell, slightly medicinal, slightly green. That smell is information. It's telling you the active compounds are there. The name comes from Achilles. Greek myth says he used it on his soldiers' wounds on the battlefield. That story has been brushed off as folklore, but the chemistry makes it entirely plausible. Yarrow contains a range of active compounds including achillin, a sesquiterpene lactone, and alpha-bisabolol, which is also found in chamomile. These work in a way that's useful for skin and surface tissues. They reduce local inflammation. They act as mild, natural antiseptics, and they appear to support blood flow to the skin surface. Better circulation means faster repair. The fibrous root crown is why you can never fully pull yarrow out. You remove the flower, and the root sends up another stem. It has been coexisting with human settlements for thousands of years and fully intends to continue. The best preparation for yarrow is an oil infusion, and this rewards patience more than any other preparation in this list. Pack a clean glass jar tightly with fresh yarrow flower heads. Cover completely with good olive oil. Seal the jar and set it on a south-facing windowsill for 2 to 3 weeks. This is called a solar infusion. The gentle warmth of the window slowly draws the active compounds into the oil without damaging them with direct heat. After 3 weeks, strain through a muslin cloth. What you have is a skin oil for minor cuts, wind-chapped skin, irritated patches, dry scalp. Use it the way you'd use any skin treatment oil. The olive oil itself is working too. It contains oleocanthal, which is a natural compound that acts on the same inflammation pathways from yet another angle. These things compound. They work together. Ground ivy is the low creeping mat you find at the base of hedges and spreading across shaded lawn edges. Kidney-shaped, scalloped leaves. Tiny blue-purple flowers in spring. Crush a leaf. There's a sharp, slightly minty smell. That smell is volatile terpenes, and they are the active part. When you inhale warm steam carrying those terpenes, they interact with the mucous membranes of the airways. They cause a mild, and mild is the key word here, irritation that prompts the airways to actively move mucus out, clear it. At the same time, other compounds in the plant work on the inflammatory signals in the airway lining itself, helping to settle them down. So you're getting two things simultaneously, the mucus moving and the inflammation underneath it quietening. European herbalists have used this plant for chest complaints since at least the medieval period. When I understood the chemistry, I stopped being surprised by that. Take a full handful of fresh ground ivy leaves. Put them in a large heat-proof bowl. Pour water that's just come off the boil over them, not still furiously boiling, just off it, and put a plate or a lid over the top for 5 minutes while the steam builds up inside. Then remove the cover. Position your face over the bowl at a comfortable distance. Drape a towel over your head to trap the steam, and breathe steadily. 5 to 10 minutes. The heat carries the terpenes directly to the airway surface, which is exactly where they need to be. Things start moving quite quickly. For blocked sinuses, a heavy cold, or general chest tightness, this is one of the simplest and most effective things I know. I've recommended it my whole career, long before I understood precisely why it worked. This is the plant I mentioned at the start, the narrowleaf plantain, sometimes called ribwort, lance-shaped leaves with 3 to 5 prominent veins running lengthwise, a slender flower spike with a small ring of white anthers around the middle. It's in virtually every lawn in the temperate world. It works on respiratory tissue in a particular way. It contains mucilage, a slippery, gel-like substance that physically coats the bronchial lining when you take it internally, like applying a soothing layer to an irritated surface. And underneath that protective layer, it contains iridoid compounds and a particular phenolic compound called verbascoside that help quieten the inflammatory signaling in the lung tissue itself. So you've got a physical layer and a biochemical signal working together. It survives mowing because its leaves lie flat below the blade, and its root system is extraordinarily efficient. It doesn't fight the mower. It just waits. I find that almost admirable. Dry the leaves first. Spread them on a rack in a warm, well-ventilated spot for a few days, or use a very low oven. Drying matters here. It concentrates the compounds. Then simmer the dried leaves in 500 milliliters of water for 15 minutes. Strain carefully. Let it cool until it's warm but not hot. Then add at least a tablespoon of raw honey and stir until it fully dissolves. Seal it in a jar and let it sit in the fridge for a full week before using. 1 small spoon before bed. The preparation needs that resting time. The honey and the plant compounds need to come together properly. What you end up with is a sleep time airway preparation. Soothing, slightly sweet, genuinely useful for anyone who wakes with a dry or tight chest in the night. Purslane, the flat, fleshy, reddish-stemmed plant that appears in late spring in vegetable beds and along warm path edges. It looks almost like a tiny succulent. Most people pull it without a second thought. Among all the leafy vegetables, every green thing you could eat, purslane has the highest concentration of a particular omega-3 fatty acid called alpha-linolenic acid. That's significant. Omega-3s are what your cell membranes are partly built from. When you don't have enough, those membranes become stiffer, less flexible, less responsive, and that has knock-on effects through the body. Joints, brain, heart, skin. But purslane doesn't stop there. It also carries glutathione, your body's most important internal antioxidant, the one your own cells manufacture, and betaline pigments, the same class of antioxidant that makes beetroot deep red. Those 3 together are doing rust prevention work at the level of your cell membranes and your mitochondria. The powerhouse is inside every cell. It loves compacted hot soil, cracks in paving, the south-facing edge of a bed baking in summer. Every year, it reappears in the same spots in my garden, and I have stopped trying to remove it. The rule with purslane is simple. Don't cook it. The omega-3s degrade with heat. Raw is the protocol, and raw is not negotiable. Chop raw purslane, combine with grated radish, the zest of a lemon, and a drizzle of flaxseed oil. Let the whole thing sit for 10 minutes before eating. That rest allows the lemon's acidity to help preserve the quality of the delicate compounds as they sit exposed. The flaxseed oil doubles the omega-3 content of the bowl. The lemon adds brightness and supports absorption. You'll be surprised how good this tastes for something that started life as a crack-in-the-patio weed. Lamb's quarters goes by a dozen names. Fat hen, white goosefoot, melda. Whatever you call it, you've seen it. Upright, grayish-green, with a faint white powdery bloom on the undersides of the leaves. It's related to spinach and quinoa, same plant family, and it's nutritionally in their league. Rich in carotenoids, lutein and beta-carotene, alongside vitamin C, flavonoids, and betalain pigments. Carotenoids are what protect the retina in your eyes from light-induced damage. They're doing the same job at the mitochondrial membrane, protecting it from a particularly reactive form of oxygen that can cause chain reaction damage if it isn't caught. The fiber in lamb's quarters also carries phenolic compounds that support the communication between the gut and the liver. The liver's waste processing system runs better when the gut is working well, and vice versa. They talk to each other. Lamb's quarters supports that conversation. One plant produces tens of thousands of seeds. Those seeds can stay viable in the soil for years. It is extremely committed to being here. 2 minutes of steaming, no longer. The carotenoids in lamb's quarters are fat-soluble, which means your body can only absorb them if there is fat present at the same time. That's why the walnuts matter. Toss the warm steamed leaves with a handful of toasted walnuts and a splash of good balsamic vinegar. The fat in the walnuts pulls the carotenoids into a form your gut can actually use. The acid from the balsamic increases the solubility of the phenolic compounds, and the walnut polyphenols are also supporting the health of the blood vessel lining independently. So this salad has 3 or 4 different things going on at once, and none of them cancel each other out. I've served it to guests who had no idea they were eating a weed. They asked for the recipe. Amaranth is hard to miss when it gets going, upright, often with red or bronze stems, and those dense, drooping seed spikes that look almost architectural. It appears in disturbed ground, roadsides, allotment edges, the corner of a bed that got turned over last spring. It contains vitamin E compounds, a group called tocopherols, which are important for keeping cell membranes stable against oxidative damage, and it contains squalene. Now, squalene is a compound more commonly associated with shark liver oil, which is where it was first concentrated commercially. But it's here in this garden weed, at useful levels. What squalene and the tocopherols do together is protect the fats in your cell membranes from a damaging chain reaction, a kind of biological rusting that can spread through a membrane once it starts. These compounds interrupt that chain. Stop it early. The seeds are worth mentioning, too. They can be popped in a dry pan like popcorn. Tiny, satisfying little things. They're among the most complete plant proteins you can find. All the essential amino acids. The Aztecs cultivated amaranth as a staple crop. We put it in the garden waste bin. Blanch young amaranth shoots in well-salted boiling water for 60 seconds. Drain, chop finely. Combine with pomegranate arils and a generous drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. The pomegranate brings anthocyanins, another class of antioxidant working on blood vessel health. The olive oil brings oleocanthal, which works on the same internal fire that nettle addresses, but through a different mechanism. Between the amaranth, the pomegranate, and the oil, you've got membrane protection, inflammation modulation, and vascular support in one bowl. It's also a very striking salad, the deep red against the green. That matters when you're trying to serve weeds to people who are not yet convinced. Violets, heart-shaped leaves, showy 5-petaled flowers in purple, blue, or occasionally white. They appear in early spring, mostly in partial shade under hedges and at garden edges. Most people think of them as simply pretty. They are also useful. The flowers contain anthocyanins, the same pigment class responsible for the color and the health reputation of blueberries. Anthocyanins protect the lining of the blood vessels from oxidative damage, and they appear to slow a process called cellular senescence, the gradual loss of cell function that underlies aging at the tissue level. That's a direct protective mechanism. The plant also contains saponins, which act like a natural surfactant in the respiratory tract. They help thin thick mucus and make it easier to clear. That's why violet preparations appear in European cough and chest remedies going back centuries. Someone noticed that it helped. The compound explains why. Violets spread by ballistic seed dispersal. The pods build tension and then literally explode, flinging seeds several feet. That's why they appear suddenly in new corners of the garden, seemingly from nowhere, overnight. Cold or room temperature water only, not hot. Hot water breaks down anthocyanins. Those vivid purple pigments fade and some of the benefit goes with them. Steep fresh violet flowers in room temperature water for 6 to 8 hours. The water will turn a faint blue-violet color. That's the anthocyanins coming out. Add a small amount of raw honey before drinking. This is a gentle preparation, not aggressive medicine, a lung care infusion, something supportive. I make it in early spring when the flowers are abundant, and I keep a glass of it in the afternoon. The honey adds its own antimicrobial properties and feeds the beneficial gut bacteria alongside. Nothing dramatic happens. Good things rarely announce themselves. Common mallow is the soft, hairy-leaved plant with pink-purple veined flowers that appears along path edges, garden walls, and disturbed ground through summer. Soft leaves, rounded lobes, easy to recognize once you've seen it once. Its defining property is something called mucilage, a polysaccharide that dissolves in water to form a viscous, slippery gel. You can feel it if you make the preparation properly. Slightly thicker, slightly slippery on the lips. When you drink it, that gel physically coats the surfaces it touches. Your throat, your esophagus, the lining of your stomach. It creates a protective layer that reduces mechanical irritation and shields the underlying tissue from inflammation. Think of it like a natural film dressing that you swallow. This is why mallow appears in nearly every European herbal tradition from medieval times forward. The mechanism is direct and structural, simple, effective. A nurse appreciates a straightforward mechanism. Cold water only. This is important, and it's counterintuitive. Hot water changes something in the mucilage structure that makes it less effective. Cold is the protocol. Chop fresh mallow leaves, pack them into a jar, and cover with cold water. Seal and leave overnight in the fridge. In the morning, the water will have thickened very slightly. That's the mucilage. If it feels just slightly slippery on your lips, you've done it correctly. Sip it slowly throughout the morning. A pinch of sea salt is a useful addition. Sodium supports the way mucin molecules hold water at the cellular level, keeping that protective layer hydrated properly. Use this for a sore throat, an irritated stomach, or any situation where internal surfaces need settling down. Chickweed is the pale green mat that carpets moist garden beds from autumn through spring. Tiny white star-shaped flowers, creeping stems, small oval leaves in opposite pairs. It seeds year-round in the right conditions and can complete its entire life cycle, from germination to seed, in around 5 weeks. It is unstoppable. It contains saponins and mucilage similar to mallow, alongside small flavonoids. The saponins produce a mild fluid-moving effect. They can help gently reduce swelling in tissues by lowering excess fluid pressure in them. The mucilage creates a hydrating anti-irritant layer on surfaces it contacts. Back in the wards, we used to say that chickweed was an old wives' remedy for itching. The old wives were right. This is a topical preparation. Blend young raw chickweed with cucumber in roughly equal parts and plain Greek yogurt, a small dash of soy sauce for mineral content. Blend until smooth. Apply the mixture directly to irritated, itchy, or wind-chapped skin. Leave for 10 minutes, then rinse with cool water. The mucilage in the chickweed and the lactic acid bacteria in the yogurt are both contributing to barrier restoration, from different angles, but toward the same goal. It is cooling, it works, and it costs almost nothing. My skin in winter has come to depend on it. The broadleaf plantain grows in every compacted path, driveway edge, and worn lawn patch in the temperate world. Oval leaves with very prominent parallel veins running lengthways. That's your identification. It lies completely flat, which is why the mower misses it entirely. Its active compounds do something I found particularly interesting from a wound care standpoint. They reduce the type of inflammation driven by an overproduction of certain signaling molecules in damaged tissue, including the kind that makes a mosquito bite or a minor burn hot and swollen. But they also actively encourage the repair cells to migrate toward the damage and begin laying down new collagen. So they're addressing the inflammation and stimulating the repair simultaneously. That's a useful combination. In nursing, you spend a lot of time thinking about wound environments. A plant that does both jobs at once gets my attention. Deep taproot, drought-resistant, every fragment of root left in the soil regrows. It is not going anywhere. I've made my peace with that. Find a young broadleaf plantain leaf. Crush it firmly with the flat of a knife or a smooth stone. You want the cell walls broken, so the active compounds come through with the juice. Add 1 small drop of olive oil and a tiny pinch of baking soda. The baking soda adjusts the pH of the preparation toward a range where the compounds work more effectively. Press the prepared leaf directly onto a mosquito bite, a minor burn, or a sting. Hold for 10 minutes. The leaf physically shields the area. The compounds underneath it are working on the local response, reducing the heat, the swelling, the itch. I've been doing this my whole life. My children grew up with it. It works faster than most of what's in the average first aid kit for minor skin irritations. Mullein is unmistakable, a ground-level rosette of extraordinarily soft, almost silver-green leaves. They feel like velvet when you touch them. And then, in the second year, a flowering spike that can reach 2 meters. It colonizes freshly disturbed or cleared ground immediately. If there's been any digging near you, look for mullein. Those leaves are where the work happens. They contain mucilage that coats and soothes the bronchial lining when prepared correctly. They contain verbascoside, a specific type of phenolic compound distinct from ordinary flavonoids, with well-documented calming and antioxidant activity in respiratory tissue. And they contain iridoid compounds that help turn down the internal fire in the lung lining itself. What I find clinically interesting is the scope across all stages of a respiratory flare: the initial irritation, the mucus, the inflammatory signaling, the cellular stress. Mullein leaf preparations are doing something useful at each stage. It's one of the few plants where the activity tracks the whole sequence. Dry the leaves first, not fresh. Drying concentrates the active phenolics. Spread on a rack in a warm, airy room for 3 to 5 days until crumbly. Then simmer dried mullein leaves in 500 milliliters of water for 15 minutes. Now, strain through a fine cloth or a coffee filter. This step is non-negotiable. Any fine leaf hairs left in the liquid will irritate your throat. That is precisely the opposite of what you want. Filter it completely. Cool to lukewarm. Add a generous amount of raw honey. Seal in a clean jar. Store in the fridge. Use within a week. 1 spoonful before bed. While you sleep, the mucilage is coating and hydrating the airway lining. The phenolic compounds are working on the inflammatory signals in the tissue underneath. For anyone with a recurring night cough or a chest that feels tight in the mornings, try this before anything else. Red clover, 3 lobed leaves, each with a pale V-shaped mark, and pinkish-purple dome flower heads. It spreads by runners, and by seed, it's effectively impossible to eradicate from a lawn. And that's fine, because you don't want to. Its primary chemistry involves isoflavones, specifically 2 called biochanin A and forminonetin. These are plant compounds that behave like a very dilute, gentle version of estrogen in the body. They connect to estrogen receptors, but at a tiny fraction of the potency of the body's own hormones. What that gentle, selective binding appears to do is support the health of the blood vessel lining, helping it stay responsive and reducing oxidative damage in those cells over time. There's also antioxidant activity that operates entirely independently of receptor binding, and growing research into isoflavones and bone density, menopausal symptoms, and vascular aging. The clover in your lawn has been sitting on top of a useful chemistry set all along. The rule here is raw. Isoflavones are sensitive to prolonged heat and degrade. You want the flowers fresh and unheated. Scatter fresh red clover flowers generously into a salad with raw kale, sunflower seeds, and a lemon tahini dressing. The kale contributes vitamin K, which is important for blood vessel health from a different angle. Sunflower seeds carry lignin precursors, compounds that your gut bacteria can convert into active hormone-supporting molecules. 3 distinct pathways to circulatory health from 3 ingredients in 1 salad, none of them cooked. That's not complexity for its own sake. It's just understanding how these compounds work best. Fresh, together, unheated. Lesser celandine is a plant of very early spring, sometimes February in mild years. Glossy, heart-shaped leaves and bright buttercup yellow flowers. It carpets the bases of hedges and woodland floors in those first weeks of the year, before almost anything else has stirred. Its active compounds, proanthocyanidins and phenolic acids, specifically target the smallest blood vessels, the capillaries. They strengthen capillary walls and protect them from the oxidative damage that leads to leaking and impaired circulation in the surrounding tissue. Good capillary function means better oxygen delivery to everything those capillaries serve. Now, an important caution with this one. Lesser celandine contains a compound called protoaneminin that can cause irritation in larger amounts. It converts to something much less active when the plant is dried or cooked. For raw use, you want young spring leaves only, a small amount early in the season, before or during early flowering. And the tubers, the small rounded lumps at the root that look a little like figs, have significantly higher levels. Do not eat the tubers. Not raw, not cooked, and stop using the aerial parts once the plant has fully flowered out and is beginning to die back. A few young leaves, 10 to 15 at most, added raw to a bitter green salad, alongside dandelion leaves in early spring. That's the entire preparation. The proanthocyanidins from the celandine and the gut-supporting compounds from the dandelion are working on capillary health and gut health at the same time. It's a logical early spring combination. The body has been sedentary through winter, capillary circulation can be sluggish, and these are 2 of the first things available. Small amounts, early spring leaves only, never the tubers, in any form. That's not flexible advice. Those are the terms. If you've ever turned over a bed and found a network of white, jointed roots running through everything, that's couch grass. You pull one end, and the other end goes 3 feet in another direction. Every fragment that remains in the soil regrows. It is genuinely maddening, and it has a use. The white rhizomes, not the green leaf blades, the actual roots, have a long record in European herbal medicine for urinary tract and kidney support. The compounds present, including coumarins, are associated in the ethnopharmacological record with gentle increases in kidney blood flow and mild diuretic activity. The polysaccharides may also support the structural integrity of kidney tissue. I describe it like this. It helps the kidneys do their job a little more efficiently. More fluid being processed, more cleared, without the harsh electrolyte loss that comes with pharmaceutical diuretics. The exact mechanisms are still being clarified by researchers, but the traditional record is consistent and long-standing. Dig the rhizomes, the white roots, not the green parts. Wash them very thoroughly. Slice them thin. Pack into a glass jar with cold water. Cold, not hot. Cold extraction is better for these particular compounds. Leave overnight. The following day, drink a cup of it, spread through the day. Small amounts. This is not aggressive treatment. It's a gentle, low-sodium way to support kidney function. If you're taking any medications that affect the kidneys or your fluid balance, check with your GP before using this. That's not a disclaimer. That's genuinely important. The last one, and it's a satisfying one to finish with, wild garlic carpets, woodland floors in early spring in dense drifts of white flowers and vivid green. You'll smell it before you see it, that unmistakable garlic scent coming from the forest before you've even left the path. That smell is the chemistry announcing itself. The active compounds are organosulfur molecules. Alliin is the one present in the intact plant. The moment you cut or crush the leaf, an enzyme in the plant converts alliin into allicin-type compounds. That conversion is what produces the smell. It's the plant's defense mechanism, and it's also where most of the human health activity lives. These compounds support the body's own antioxidant production, specifically glutathione, your primary internal free radical scavenger. They also support the health and responsiveness of the blood vessel lining, and they appear to influence the clotting behavior of blood platelets. The cardiovascular record for wild garlic in Eurasian herbal traditions is extensive and consistent, and it appears in early spring, precisely when dietary variety after a long winter is at its lowest. That timing is not accidental. A safety note: wild garlic can be confused with lily of the valley, which grows in similar habitats and is toxic. The test is simple. Crush a leaf. If it smells strongly of garlic, it's wild garlic. If it doesn't, walk away. Raw, fresh, same day. Those are the 3 rules, and they're not negotiable. Allicin compounds begin degrading within hours of cutting. Heat destroys them entirely. So the protocol is a raw pesto, made and eaten the same day. Blend fresh wild garlic leaves with walnuts, extra virgin olive oil, and lemon juice. No heat at any point. The walnuts bring L-glutathione and omega-3. The olive oil brings its own phenolic compounds. The lemon's ascorbic acid may offer some antioxidant protection to the preparation. Spread on good bread. Use as a sauce over roasted vegetables or pasta. Make it, eat it today. The freshness isn't about taste, it's the mechanism. The longer you wait, the less there is of what you made it for. 19 plants, all of them free, all of them, in all probability, within easy reach of wherever you live. I've spent decades in healthcare watching people manage chronic conditions with prescriptions that sometimes come with side effects that need managing in turn. I'm not against medicine. I've worked in medicine. I believe in medicine. But I think there's something worth recognizing. The original pharmacopoeia, the one that existed before patents and profit margins, is still there. It's in the hedge. It's pushing through the crack in your path. It's the thing you nearly sprayed last weekend. Millions of years of exposure to plant chemistry has shaped human biology from both sides. The enzyme systems in your liver, the bacteria in your gut, your body's own antioxidant machinery. None of these developed in isolation. They developed alongside plants. That relationship is very old, and it hasn't stopped. One question for the comments before you go, and I mean it as a genuinely open question. Several of the plants today work through similar pathways, the same alarm switch that triggers the body's inflammatory response. If multiple plants are quietly working on that same system from different angles, does combining them increase the effect? Or is there a ceiling where additional input stops making a difference? I genuinely like to know what you think. The science on this isn't settled. If this was useful to you, subscribe. The next one looks at plants most people treat as purely ornamental. The gap between decorative and medicinal is mostly a matter of whether someone has run the analysis yet.